Hello and welcome to the Luxury People podcast presented by the World Luxury Chamber of Commerce. My name is António Paraíso, your host, and in this series we engage in insightful conversations with leading figures across the luxury sector. Each episode offers in-depth discussions featuring valuable insights, compelling stories, and forward-looking ideas. My guest today is a global hospitality leader who has shaped some of the most iconic world luxury brands. From opening Ritz-Carlton hotels across continents to driving growth for the St. Regis, the Bvlgari and W hotels, he's a proven strategist, team builder, market pioneer with a track record of delivering results worldwide. Today, he's the founder and CEO of Global Hotel Advisors and serves as a board member of the World Luxury Chamber of Commerce. Please join me in welcoming Bob Kharazmi. Bob, did I pronounce it right?
Oh, absolutely, Antonio. Thank you very much. Great to be with you. Appreciate for a generous introduction. Thank you.
Thank you. My pleasure. It's our pleasure to have you with us today.
My
Bob, you've spent decades in top leadership roles at luxury hotels across different countries. If you look back, what was the single most transformative experience that shaped your leadership style? Do you remember?
Well, I mean, it depends how far I go, Antonio. I might don't remember everything, but I have to say that I've been fortunate to travel the world and
Yes.
and work with the exceptional, iconic luxury brands, as you mentioned in your introduction. But the leadership really, truly is the fundamental for every single business, especially in hospitality.
Mhm.
And it's interesting that the role of the leadership is really in a way that you have to basically conduct yourself in a way that people willingly follow you, not because of your title, not because of who you are. They are willingly follow you. So speaking of global experiences, different cultures, and what I have taken, I want to talk about something that Harvard Business Review, Linda Hill, I believe, years ago brought up. And being a student of leadership and studying a lot, she brought up something that helped me in my ventures globally. And I think it's been one of the most meaningful lessons I learned. And I saw globally which part of it you have to use. And that really goes back to two kind of a leadership. One, what they refer to as formal authority. Every leader in any organization given the responsibility, authority, and that is the formal authority. Basically, it goes with they give an instruction and they expect the compliance and getting
The
it done.
compliance. Yes.
And Linda discusses that and compares that with moral authority. And she defines the moral authority in a very interesting way that it really depends on the integrity of a leader, the trust that the leader can create with his or her people in order to get a relationship, a meaningful relationship, and create an ambiance that you can get much more meaningful contribution from your people. So in my venture around the world, I realize where you have to balance between formal authority and moral authority in certain part of the world, and which part of the world you have to rely much more on moral authority. But in general, I have to say moral authority works much better
Yeah,
in
I believe so.
almost every culture. Because if you Antonio, if you look into what do we expect from our people, we want them to follow the culture of organization. We want them to be an exceptional representation of the company and its culture. And that cannot be through command of a formal authority. I give you the command. No, it doesn't happen that way. all the innovations, all the contributions, and again, I emphasize on a meaningful contribution comes from relationship, which moral authority drives that relationship, and also helps the innovation. Antonio, you cannot, and innovation is voluntary. People don't innovate because you tell them to innovate. You have to create that environment.
And you do it with moral authority and not so much with formal authority.
So yes. This has been a very helpful.
This balance is a very interesting concept.
It's a balance that I think she put it very well, and it's been something that globally I have used and I have seen the effect of it. And I hope that it's just not the hospitality business. I hope that in any organization.
Very inspiring concept. Thank you for sharing. Now, you've traveled the world. You've worked in many different countries. What were the biggest cultural differences you've encountered, and how did you adapt? And how do you deal with cultural differences?
This is very important questions, because there's a couple of things I want to add here in this before I really respond to your specific questions, Antonio. I think that the corporate culture should always be upheld and codified in a way that everyone in the organization can understand, follow, and believe deep from their heart. And it should not be forfeited to local culture. However, it is extremely important that the local culture is well respected and incorporated within the corporate culture and delivered that way, not forfeited, coordinated, combined, and delivered. This is the respect we have to the community that we go to do our business. So the differences I can give, I want to use a couple of countries like Asia. Let's take Asia. Let's take Japan, for example. That is the culture that I respect very much. This Japanese within their their culture and how they have grown up, they are very much respectful, and they never say anything directly to your face. If you're doing business with them and there's some issues, they respect you so much that they don't tell you specifically to your face. You have to read through the comments they make.
And they rarely say no. They don't use the word no.
They are very much, and I think that comes from their respect to the person that they work with, they partner with. That comes slightly different in, let's say, North America. North America, we are accustomed to go to meetings, to our partners, and be very straightforward. Just tell the issue right in their face.
In their face, looking in the eyes.
Exactly, and they don't do that. I want to give you a quick story here. This is a real true story. I got a phone call. I was at the time working, opening a hotel in Japan, in Tokyo. I had a phone call from the ownership group, and they were I sensed they're very upset over the phone. And I'm in DC, and they are in Tokyo, and they asked me if I can go there as soon as practical. Please come over quickly. So you get concerned. These are great partners. You have a great deal of respect. We are making a lot of investments in there. So I remember I find the first flight, and I go there, and I meet with our ownership in the property, in the hotel. He spoke to me perhaps for 30 to 45 minutes. And I am still looking to find out what is the problem, because he has not told me what's the problem. But when the conversation finished and he said, I appreciate your follow-up, I come and sit and think, and I try to put everything he told me in perspective.
Yes.
Then I understood what he really, truly is telling me. And he was basically, bottom line, requesting change of leadership that we assigned to the property in Tokyo. But he was so kind. He was going around everything without saying, I don't want this leader, and please find someone else to understand Japanese culture and how we work. That would be totally different in US. They just call you. They don't even ask you to come there. They just tell you, listen, this leader is not working. It's not,
Yeah,
matching
just
the
find
gear for
find someone else. Yeah.
find someone else. So there is a lot of fun. But the most important part is respecting the local culture without forfeiting the corporate culture, but combining them all together.
Very, very interesting. You've replied to my next question already. I have here this question for you, but I believe this story in Japan is interesting. I was going to ask you to share a story of a crisis or challenge you have faced. And you've already mentioned this.
You mind I give you another example? Because
Yes, please, by all means, yes.
You know,
I
at
mean,
one point,
you must have many stories to share.
I mean, 40 years, Antonio. I think that I've been very fortunate to get exposed globally and travel many countries and have a lot of friends around the world.
So please tell us a story of a challenge you have faced and how you turned it into an opportunity eventually.
Yeah, thank you. This is with no disrespect to the country. It's just the way things works. We took hotel over in Middle East. I would stay away from country and the hotel name and everything. We took a hotel, and the way you take the hotel generally from one operator to another operator is a midnight December. So 12 midnight, 12:01, former operator, stops working and a new operator comes in. Literally, it's a very difficult situation. Midnight, you take over.
Yeah.
The company that was operating was a great company, and they were leaving. As they were leaving, to have the books clean between the changes between two different operators, they paid the employee for 3 weeks in order to have December 31st as an ending day, and then the new day starts. And employees were getting generally every 2 weeks. The pay was every 2 weeks. At that time, at the time of the change, they got 3 weeks. No one said anything. Of course, they got more money. They were happy with it. And then when we took over, our job was to pay 1 week to balance the overall pay before we go to 2 weeks period of a pay. And I happened to travel to hotel from US to Middle East. And when I arrived, I saw a commotion, massive commotion, a lot of noise behind the front desk. And I saw police presence in the lobby. And my question was, what happened? And police, again, this is cultural, I think to a large degree, said that you cannot get engaged. This is a police operation. And behind the front office, all the employees are basically complaining for 1 week pay, and the former operator used to pay us more, and somehow they forgot that they got 3 weeks versus 2 weeks prior to December. So they were saying, you gave us 1 week less. The new company, meaning us, we paid him 1 week less. And police did not let me to go behind the front desk to see our employees. I would think like 500 or 600 employees behind the front desk creating commotions. So I bypassed the police quietly and went in. They were telling me, you cannot go. They might get angry at you. You might get yourself in trouble. I said, I won't get in trouble. They know us. They know our company. They know our culture. Our employees are the most important asset for us.
Of course.
They literally are. So I go back there, and I remember there was a lot of people. I go on the table. There was a table in the back there so I can see everybody. And I literally question, what's the problem? They tell me that, oh, we got paid 1 week less. And there was a director of finance standing beside me. And I said, how much we talking here? He says only 40, 50,000. So I said, please, everyone go back to your work at 3 p.m. This was early morning. At 3 p.m., myself and the rest of the team going to be at the door when you're leaving. We're going to give you the 2nd week paycheck. So you will be all good. They all agreed. They went back. Then I go to the finance department and say, we need to cut check for 500 or 600 people by 3 p.m. And it's only $40,000, $50,000. Then finance director says to me, I made a mistake. It's about $200,000. I said, that is a big mistake, my friend, from 50 to 200. But The promise was a promise. We gave him $200,000, but the problem that we have was the lack of communication. We did not communicate. The check you're going to get is going to be 1 week less because prior to this, you got 3 weeks pay. So this balances, and then we fall to the normal every 2 weeks.
Yes.
This kind of stand-up and screaming and commotions will not happen in different parts of the world like Asia. It happens in different way. Then sometimes in Middle East, people have more emotion, lack of communication from our side.
That's
put
right.
the fire behind us. But we solved that without police involvement. But we spent, $200,000 some money, which is, it goes back to still our employees. And
yes, but you learned. You learned. You learned from mistakes. From miscommunication.
Absolutely, miscommunication, lack of communication. Cause all these issues.
Bob,
but I never forget.
Let's talk about something more pleasant than
Absolutely.
problems. In your opinion, what are the 3 non-negotiables that define a true luxury hotel experience in today's world?
I think there's honestly very difficult to choose the 3, but first I would say attention to details.
Yes.
Attention to details are something that is literally non-negotiable, and that's everyone's responsibility to pay attention to details.
Yeah, for a
details,
flawless experience.
Details, you just don't get the job done. You make sure that you look at every single detail that will require to get this done properly. Attention to detail in luxury is very important. It's all about detail. Then consistency. I think consistency is the key. Because especially, yes, it has to be that way because you cannot be what your brand stands, but you are not consistent, right?
Yes.
It goes to service, it goes to products, it goes to everything. Consistency is the key. And in our business and hospitality, anticipation is the key.
Yes.
What we say in our business, anticipatory service.
Yeah, anticipation
needs. And
if you surprise a guest without
because
he or she asking,
Antonio, you brought up exceptional point here.
You read their minds.
Yeah.
And they go over the moon.
They go over the moon. Guest does not become loyal unless you surprise and delight them.
And sometimes with little somethings, or even instead of anticipation, at least if you remember what they've told you once. For instance, I hate cucumber. And wherever I go, I say, I want a salad, but no cucumber, please. But when I go there next time, I don't say it again. And I expect people will remember salad with no cucumber for Antonio.
To your point, Antonio, which is well received, is the majority of the luxury hospitalities, they have brought a CRM that keeps track of the preferences.
Yes.
Through that
CRM and passion. If you're passionate, you will remember.
Because the old saying, Antonio, passion brings energy, energy brings activities. This is all related to each other, right? and if you really want to win the mind and the heart of a customer and establish a relationship, therefore, you have to surprise and delight them. You have to emotionally get connected with the guest through your service, through your delivery, through your anticipation.
And talking about this, can you share a behind-the-scenes story that illustrates how far a luxury hotel will go to delight a guest? You must know many stories and secrets.
What do they say? 1 minute or a few minutes of public endorsement and award. It comes with a whole lot of practice and a lot of hard work for that 2 or 3 minutes. Hospitality business, when the guest arrives, there is a whole lot of preparations for the arrival of that day, quite honestly. Every guest is important. And this, we just talk about CRM and their preferences, preparing those preferences behind the house before the arrival. Every single guest, unless they are the first comer. So you just go and make sure that everything as an amenity you place in their room as a gesture of welcome is exactly what they prefer. So there's a whole lot of work goes behind that. And that really resonates itself to every part of the, at least in terms of hospitality operation. When it goes to front office, when it goes to housekeeping, what do they prefer in their guests? What kind of pillow they like? How do they like even as small as their TV remote control? Generally, general guidelines you put in front of the TV, but they happen to sleep on the left side of the bed. So rather than put them automatically in the front of the television, they bring him and put him in exactly where the guest sleeps. So much details gets be done for that day's arrival. And imagine it's 365 days a week.
Yes.
So
it's a challenge.
Honestly, the success of the front team that welcomes a guest and does, interaction with guests, it all depends on the people we refer to as heart of the house, how much of a preparation is done to enable the front team to deliver. And one of the reasons we do, a lot of companies say back of the house, where the guest doesn't go, basically. We say heart of the house because the reason we say heart of the house, because heart is the only organ. If it doesn't work, the operation or person goes, right? Person dies. And the same thing stands in the hotel. If the heart of the house, or for simplicity, back of the house does not work, the operation in the front falls apart. So I can only share there is every guest being reviewed. If they are new, there's a plan to see how we can win them over to become a loyal member. If there is a repeat, we make sure that where was the last place they stayed, what are their preferences, as you and I discussed, we put the right thing in the right room. Of course, mistake happens in every business, and in this business also happens because consumers change taste. Consumers, stop, let's say drinking red wine and start drinking white, or in general, they stop drinking, and we don't know until we find out the next day.
Exactly. Thank you. Thank you very much. We all know that luxury hospitality is built on people. Now, how do you motivate and retain top talent in an industry which is known for a very high turnover? It's a challenge as well.
It is a challenge, and I think it is a challenge in other industries as well, especially, as you mentioned, hospitality. It really goes back to the root, the selection process.
Yes.
We recall selection versus hiring. There's a big difference between hiring and selection.
Interesting detail. Yeah.
Selection process is really based on the fit. Does this person, based on the questions that's designed to support the fit process, does this person fit our culture?
Yes.
We believe our guest is our highest mission. We believe we come to work 90%, the purpose of coming to work, to make the guest stay pleasant and, consistently without any, breakdowns, right? And the 10% is technical, computer use, all the functional responsibility. If they fit the 90%, that person we select.
They should be okay for the,
Exactly. And then it is a financial decision, but it's the biggest decision they can make. And in the long term, they will be successful if they take good number of days. We do about 10 days in our organization to onboard them. And onboarding, bring them in. It's not about to, fill your W-9 forms, fill your insurance forms. Those are functional, gets done within half a day or less, right? The majority of the time is spent to talk about what you and I just brought it, non-negotiable. We believe the highest mission is this. And if you believe in that, let us train you so you function that. Because majority of company, if you ask their CEOs, if you ask their C-level executives, they have exceptional mission, vision, culture, which is a fundamental mission and the vision stands on.
Yes.
and their strategy works on top of it. But sometimes it is not cultivated, it is not driven strongly on onboarding, and it's not sustained. Sustainability is the key. How do you sustain in hospitality organization, especially definitely in luxury, 5 minutes every single day, gathering together and repeating one piece of the culture, one piece of that defines who we are for a few minutes for 365 days, keeps that non-negotiable, keeps that culture alive in the mind and heart of the employees. And that is the key. And then the other key is that's why they stay, because they believe in you. Their value system matches the value system. That's what the fit comes in picture. The other part of it is you have to, especially with the younger generation and with every generation, but let's say younger generations, empowerment is the key. The old method of someone makes the decision and someone, carries that decision is gone. It is to me is disrespectful. You have to empower every single employee to make the decision on any issue comes their way without them going to their supervisor, their managers, their higher, hierarchy level within the organization. You sort of create horizontal versus a vertical organization to get the best out of the people, but empower them. So this gets them tied to the organization. This reduces the turnover. Obviously, turnover always exists, but you minimize that turnover. And the turnover should not be viewed as a negative thing. Sometimes it's okay. Someone thinks they're fit and they're not the right fit. It's good to change. It's good to refresh the team. But selection, orientations, reinforcement is the key.
Very interesting concepts. I like particularly the selection versus hiring concept. Thank you very much. What leadership lessons from your experience in the hotel world do you believe could also be applied to other industries?
I think that the leadership is not specifically for hotel business, and it's not really
any
specific,
business,
right? It applies to every organization. I think that balancing between formal authority and moral authority is the key. And why do I keep emphasizing what the Harvard Business Review brought up, and I've been practicing for many years? This will help every single organization to make the employees' contribution more meaningful. When you create moral authority, which is based on the integrity of the leader, relationship they build, trustworthy of the leaders, and the transparency of a leader, you create what they refer to it. And I am strongly student of that and believe that kind of an environment, that kind of a leadership brings a psychological ownership with the employees. So I psychologically believe that I belong to this organization. Let it be technical company, let it be a service company, let it be industrial, it does not matter. When that psychological relationship, authority, sense of belonging comes, then you feel this is your business. You feel that you own it. Literally, you don't own it, but you have so much joy and voice, and your contribution has been valued. And this contribution is also very important. It's a side note, but we cannot, in any business, assume that their physical being of our employees are what we bring in. We bring in the whole person. That's why their voice matters. That's where their thinking matters. And when you allow them to contribute everything they have in that environment, and everyone's ideas is well received and respected, you create an environment that really truly brings the best of every employee and helps the organization to grow, create consistency, create a luxury product or luxury service that customers, guests, clients come to expect.
Exactly, Bob. And that's ultimately related to company culture. And speaking of company culture, we all know that it is so important to achieving service excellence. So my question is, what cultural elements have you found essential in company culture to build a high-performance luxury brand?
I'm a simple communicator, and I believe leaders need to, quite honestly, communicate in a simple way that their employees understand what they're talking about.
Yes, yes.
So first, to me, definition of a culture is nothing but certain virtues, and practices that glues everybody together, meaning that everybody speaks the same language. That is definition of a culture that defines how we interact with each other as a colleagues and how we interact with our guests. That is simply putting the definition of a culture without getting it and making it more complicated for our employees to digest, to believe in it. And the piece of a culture that it is most important, to me, every part of a culture is very important. Unless you come with a culture that is defined in a way that it is nothing but a marketing comment. Because I have come across and read cultures of different companies. It's my passion of mine. And I have seen this is not a culture. This is not a definition of a culture. This doesn't define what this company's purpose is. This defines something for people or customers. This doesn't help employee that's gonna deliver that. So the culture has to be simply designed, and it's very difficult actually. If you want to simplify something, it's very difficult. If you want to use the big words and complicate it, it becomes much easier. So the piece of a culture that needs to be codified in a way that everyone can understand and remember and see the senior leaders are practicing it. It's not just for them, it's for C-level, CEO, C-level executives, all the way down to simplest and youngest and newest employee. That is a great driver. Get the culture simplified, let everyone understand and make it non-negotiable. And do not, let it forfeit it. Because today we see companies, coffee company, for example, today that we see 6 quarters in a row, their revenue's been down, and the new CEO is pushing to bring it back together. And I think he's very capable and he will do so, but they end up closing a lot of shops. It comes back to their departure, not willingly, but it happened through growth, because growth can take you off your culture, off your belief system, because what the founder communicates, then gets communicated by more people, by the time it gets to 10,000 properties, the message has changed. So that is why the senior leadership's simplification of a culture, communication of that has to be the goal. And that is, otherwise you go wrong way. Some companies believe that growth is the enemy of a culture. No, growth is not the enemy of a culture. Companies need to grow, but they need to also make sure that their culture communicated properly by senior leadership and is practiced on a daily basis. And the new managers that come to the company and they don't know the founder or CEOs, they haven't even met it, they get really truly soaked in it and believe in it and deliver that. So the growth can happen without forfeiting who you are.
Exactly. And making simple what is complex and being able to communicate in a simple way to your team what is complex is an art mastered only by the best leaders. Thank you very much, Bob Kharazmi. Thank you for your invaluable insights about culture and service excellence. Your vision is truly inspiring, and it was a pleasure having this conversation with you today. Thank you very much. For those of you who would like to connect with Bob, you'll find his details in the description of this episode. We thank you for joining the Luxury People podcast by the World Luxury Chamber of Commerce, where we uncover ideas, people, and stories shaping the future of luxury. Thank you for joining us today. Stay tuned for more inspiring conversations, and until next time, thank you.
Thank you.